And I'm live, everybody. Happy Thursday, or as I like to call it, Sunday, because my work schedule likes to be confusing. Welcome, everybody, again to Bloody Mary Brunch, the show where you all watch me drink Bloody Marys and we talk about just whatever crazy stuff or stuff we want to talk about from there now. So I hope everybody's doing good today. Fuel the hatred, gaming or what? See you both in the chat. Appreciate you both being here. First of all, I had to pour myself, of course, a Bloody Mary of my magical see-through bottle. I actually had a few too many cervezas last night, so I do kind of need a Bloody Mary today. Feeling a little bit rough this morning. All right. So we'll let a few more people get in the chat. I hope everybody's doing good today on this fine. It's kind of cool and breezy here this morning. I thought today maybe we'd talk some 80s movies. I'm a big fan of 80s movies. It seems like that's always a good topic. 80s stuff, music movies to talk about. Only social drink. I consider you all friends, so that way I feel like I'm social drinking, even though I'm sitting at home by myself on the internet. Well, I don't guess I technically had too many, but my body told me this morning when I got up that I had too many. Yeah, TWTG Content had a birthday stream last night, and I partook in honor of his birthday a little too much, and then hung out with some other friends after that and kept hitting the cervezas. So, yeah, I was not in my best shape this morning. So, what are y'all's take on 80s movies? 80s movies, and in my opinion, the 80s and like early mid 90s, a few late 90s, early 2000s to me is kind of when, to me, regular decent movies quit being a thing. And, you ended up with stuff like you have nowadays. Back in the 80s, it was just, if they wanted to make a movie for fun, they didn't care about being PC and all that stuff. I think that's part of the reason that a lot of people enjoy the 80s movies, and we look back on them with so much fondness because movies were just fun. It wasn't trying to consume a lot of TV or movies. Yeah. It is better for your brain to read, I guess, than watch TV or movies. I'm not a big TV person. I do still enjoy the occasional movie. '80s cheese fest. A lot of the movies in the '80s, most people would probably consider cheesy now, but I mean, to me, they're classics, and I think that's, like I said, I think that's part of the reason we look back on them with such fondness. Is that was when you could go to the cinema and it was fun. Nobody tried to push an agenda really. I mean, they could make some of the goofiest, silliest, you know, comedy movies and things like that. That there's no way you can make in that style. Now people have tried to remake, '80s movies, and of course have done a horrible job. But there's no way you could do that style nowadays, true to the original way the movies were made in the '80s. It pissed too many people off, so they would never do it. So, Fuel the Hatred. What would you say is your favorite '80s movie? I'm sure out of your cheese fest, there's one that stands out that you're like, oh yeah, they're right here, Tom. If I say there's going to be Bloody Marys, I'm not going to lie, Tom. There is Bloody Marys. And hello, Tom. Good to see you. I know Tom's a big fan of movies and stuff. I'm sure Tom has a favorite '80s movie. We're just kind of generally talking '80s movies this week, Tom. It's always a lighthearted conversation to have. '80s music, '80s movies. People just seem to like to talk about that. So, do you have a particular '80s movie, Tom, that would be kind of your favorite that stands out? Yeah, the original. Yeah, the original Ghostbusters. Yeah, it's from the '80s. That was the same thing Fuel the Hatred said, Tom. Is it's kind of hard to nail down one movie from the '80s because there were so many amazing movies in the '80s. Yeah, yeah, all those are great picks. I would have to say my probably just because of I watched it a lot as a kid and being a young man, the kind of war aspect in it and the younger kids or younger people, were like the heroes of the movie. But Red Dawn, I love Red to this day. It's actually on Netflix right now. The original Red Dawn is, and or it was last time I looked on there, and that would probably be my favorite '80s movie just because of the nostalgia I have for it. Okay, you're more of a sci-fi. Yeah, I would say that. Oh, sci-fi horror. I said humor. Yeah, to me, I don't. I mean, some of them were super cheesy, but I can't really think of a bad comedy from the '80s. I mean, some obviously are kind of silly, but to me, that was the point: is that they were just fun and silly, entertainment. They were just entertainment. Yeah, the original. That was probably the first scary movie I remember watching. Was the original Nightmare on Elm Street, and the Freddy Krueger and the whole Freddy Krueger song. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. I still remember watching that movie. It was a great movie. It is a great movie. I'm not a super big horror fan. Like I said, I remember watching Nightmare on Elm Street, quite a few of that franchise. And I'm sure like Friday the 13th, I don't really remember. Yeah, Back to the Future is a good choice. Oh yeah, Tom knows. Tom just hitting all the good spots. Giggity. I had read something. It's been a while back, and I think I heard some people on YouTube talking about it. That supposedly they were talking about a remake of the Goonies, and I was like, please don't do that because you can't make the Goonies like it was made then. They would have to put a spin on it and change it somehow. And there's not going to be a sloth, period. Or if there is a sloth, it's not going to be the character sloth was in the original movie. And you're not going to have the overtop Data, the Asian character with the gadgets and all that stuff, because there was some kind of, I guess, stereotypical characters in movies like that. But to me, that's why. Oh, really? It's about a teacher who helps kids make their own remake of the Goonies. Huh. I just don't see anything to do with the Goonies nowadays being good at all. Just because of the climate. Hey, hail Optimus Deadpool. How you doing, bro? Yes, Mr. Jesus has blessed me with Bloody Marys because I had a slight bit of a hangover this morning from a birthday stream last night. Not my birthday, it was somebody else's birthday. And they were partaking of adult beverages in honor of their 40th birthday, and it would have been rude for me not to also partake in adult beverages during the conversation. Yeah, Optimus, we're just kind of talking 80s movies, right? Just generally kind of talking 80s movies right now. Kind of like what we liked about the 80s cinema and compared to nowadays and what our kind of favorite highlights are of the 80s. I'll tell you another movie I remember from the 80s, and I'm pretty sure it was, Tom will know this, I'm sure it was actually a remake of an older movie, so it was a remake of a movie in the 80s, but The Fly. Remember that movie, The Fly? I just remember as a kid, when he finally kind of turns. Oh, Commando, that was another great one. Red Dawn and Commando as a young male child, those were probably two of my favorite movies, probably because of the kids being the heroes in Red Dawn and Arnold Schwarzenegger with all the guns and all, when he. Oh, name only mostly. Okay. Yeah, I've never seen the original, but I was pretty sure there had been an old black and white movie or something named The Fly. But yeah, Commando was good. I love when he goes and raids the gun store and gets all of his stuff to go on that raid. Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's why you can't remake 80s movies. I mean, like they remade Red Dawn and it was horrible. I mean, they did a remake of Ghostbusters and most people will tell you that was. Oh, okay. Yeah, Vincent Price. Okay. But yeah, that's like everybody's talking about now. Get woke, go broke. We're kind of starting to speak with our wallets about what Hollywood's up to, and it would. They say everything kind of goes in cycles. It would be nice. I mean, not to totally remake what was in the decade, but it would be nice if we could kind of get back more to movies, especially comedies that are more along the lines of what we had like in the 80s, where you go it's nobody's agenda. You just go and enjoy yourself. Because to me, that's if I'm gonna spend money, and if movies aren't cheap anymore to go to the theater, especially if you take someone and you buy popcorn and you do all that stuff. Movies are not cheap. Even if you go to a matinee, movies aren't cheap really to go see very many of them. So if I'm especially going to pay to go see something at the movies, it needs to be worth seeing, not a woke fest. Yeah, especially if it's a comedy. See, I didn't even think about Conan. Turner's a great sci-fi movie. Conan's a great fantasy movie. Yeah, Commando was a great Arnold movie. I like it too. He carjacks the stewardess, and his big ass can't fit in that little big car. He has to rip the seat out and sit in the floor. It is kind of funny what's playing out right now with entertainment and how Hollywood's kind of feeling the backlash of the way they've been doing things, and all these movies now, like Birds of Prey, a fairly recent one. The marketing basically said this is not for men, and now they're bad because they're saying it's not making any money because men won't go see it because of the strong female characters. It's like, you told us not to go see it, first of all. Second of all, it looks like a shit movie. Who's going to pay to go see that at the theater, especially a dude if like Charlie's Angels? Okay. All right, Gaming or what? Like the last Charlie's Angels, I didn't go see it at the theater, but I watched it under other means and online, and I couldn't even get through the first 5 or 10 minutes of it. It was such a, to me, almost man bashing woke fest that I started watching it. I was like, what the hell is this? I don't think we'll ever see kind of 80s style horror movies again, just because of or sci-fi, just because of technology is totally surpassed. Not like, I mean, like the Freddy Krueger movies, those things, if you think about it now, in hindsight, those things were kind of cheesy with the the special effects and all that stuff. You just have so much technology now that I don't see them going back to that style of like horror or sci-fi movie, but I really wish they'd go back to that style of comedy. To me, that's why it's kind of funny that you even have them trying to remake stuff from the 80s, because you can't. I mean, I know they're doing it for money. They want the nostalgia. Young people that have never really heard of it will go see it just because of who's in it. People like us, they think will go see it because of nostalgia, but we're nostalgic for what we originally saw. We're not nostalgic for what your take is on it now. And especially if you put some new message in it that wasn't there originally. And to people like us, you're never going to make a remake of an 80s movie that's going to do any justice, I don't think. Which, of course, my personal opinion. But yeah. Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Yeah, they have both lost their panache because, especially, like you said, especially horror movies. I mean, some of the kind of more. I mean, if you think of like the Saw movies, I guess that's supposed to be kind of a horror movie, or you may call that a suspense movie. I don't know, but I mean, to me, it's not. I mean, the crazy games or people get killed and all this stuff, but to me, that's not like your typical. I mean, Freddy Krueger coming in your dreams with the knife fingers. I mean, that's horror. Jason chasing you around the woods with a machete. Yeah, a lot of them now have gotten kind of weird. Like what was it? Us. That was weird. It was supposed to be a horror movie. Oh, what's up, DJ Odyssey? Good to see you, bro. Okay, yeah, getting your stay. That's right. You'll have a stream. I guess this afternoon. Yeah, I saw that, Optimus. I saw that. Yeah, they're trying to throw shade at Sonic because they know when the Sonic movie comes out that it's going to. Oh yeah. You have your afternoon radio show. Yeah, they know Sonic's going to take a chunk out of the box office of what the little they were getting anyway. And I also saw they're trying to hurry up and rename the movie because they think that'll make it appeal more to people instead of the title it has now is that they just want to call it Harley Quinn Birds of Prey or something like that instead of the way the title was to start with. I got my mix just right this week. I put a little extra spice in, and I was out of horseradish last week, so I threw me a nice big spoon of horseradish in it. This week I finally picked some up at the store. I mean, I'm not going to say I want to be there like opening night, but I'm actually kind of excited for Sonic. Sonic kind of looks like it could be a pretty good movie. I like that they changed, when the previews for Sonic first come out and Sonic looked like hot garbage. It was surprising to me that they actually went back and textured or did Sonic to look more like Sonic from the game. It was nice to see they actually listened to what people were saying and went back in and fixed it. Yeah, you don't want to fuck with seagulls. That would be funny. It'd be like a Saw. It'd be like a Saw kind of thing. They wake up and they're just covered in like breadcrumbs or little pieces of bread, and they have to make it across the city, and they're constantly being chased by an angry flock of seagulls. Not the band, and the seagulls are constantly trying to pick the pieces of bread off of them. That would probably be a better movie and do better at the box office, honestly. I would go see that. That would be pretty funny. They could have just made such a better Harley Quinn movie. I mean, I liked her in I didn't draw a blank. Suicide Squad. I liked her character in Suicide Squad. I guess we've kind of got off our original topic, which is fine. I like kind of the free flow of this stream. Just kind of hang out and talk, kick ideals and topics back and forth. Well, well, that's what they want you to believe, DJ. Is the only reason we're not going to see the movie is she doesn't look like that in the new movie. But I'm Ghetto Tom, and I pre-make my Bloody Marys in a Sprite bottle, so I don't have to keep going into the kitchen and mixing one up. It's more stream friendly. I also pre-make my garnish, which Sith Lord, I bought it when I went and bought horseradish. I went and bought gherkins because I like gherkins. I already had a big jar of olives because I'm a fan of olives with my Bloody Marys. So I was talking about, I got some gherkins. So on my little umbrella skewer, I'm going to put a gherkin on there, and Sith's like, that's just going to look like a dong and balls garnish. And unfortunately, he's right. It does kind of look like a dong and balls. The unfortunate way I stacked up the gherkins and the olives. So I had my toxic male phallic Bloody Mary garnish today. Yeah, invisible. Yeah, the green screen and then the magic invisible bottle. I was on a stream one time. Let's see, this one won't do it. I have a cup like this, but it's green. And I was on a stream one time, and it's perfectly invisible. So it looked like I just had an invisible drink, drinking it. Yeah, jerking your gherkin. So is there actually any new movies in the pipeline people are actually excited to see? There hasn't really been much of anything. The last movie I was excited to see was 1917, partly because I'm a fan of history and war kind of movies, although I know that's not a true story. But oh yeah, the new Ghostbusters does look promising. Will, what's going on, Will Gentry? That's funny. You know it's going to be a good night when the first thing you hear is I went and bought horseradish and gherkins. Dune, G.I. Joe's. Oh, so I hadn't heard about G.I. Joe Snake Eyes. That sounds cool. I was a big G.I. Joe fan as a kid. And what's up, Fatal J? Oh yeah, but isn't Bill and Ted 3 the one that's supposed to be like their kids, like their sons or something like that? Yeah, Dune is another one of those movies you have to tread lightly the way you make it, because it's, to me, that's the problem with like some of the like Star Trek, Star Wars stuff, is that you have the canon that's already there, so people have a certain expectation, and then when you do, then it's going to destroy Star Wars. That was part of the reason that when I was on Chris's show last week, and DJ was there, and you had to defend one movie, I defended Ghostbusters because I was like, well, even the one with the girls in it, because I'm sorry, women. Oh, daughter. Oh, okay, it's their daughters. Beast Wars. Oh yeah, that would be cool. Dune, yeah, if they do it right, Dune will be a great one. If if it's done right, if they don't screw it up. Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't really pay to go to the theater much, but I did pay to go see 1917 because I actually watched it through other means for free, and then actually really enjoyed it and went to go pay to see it in the theater just for the experience of seeing it on the big screen with the big sound and everything. Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch Sonic. I probably won't watch it at the theater. When is when is Dune supposed to come out, Fatal? Watched the original movie, 3 hour edition of the miniseries. Dune, I'm keen. I hadn't seen Dune in forever. If that's, I probably that may be a good idea for me to do that too. Go back and rewatch before the new one comes out. Oh, so it's not supposed to come out till almost the end of this year, towards the end of December. We kind of switched from talking about 80s movies to talking about general what's been going on in cinema and the travesty of Birds of Prey not making any money, and now them trying to change it and trying to throw shade on Sonic because they know Sonic's going to destroy it at the box office. And we've just been talking about what we've enjoyed watching, what new movies are getting ready to come out that we're excited about or interested in. Yeah, so I have plenty of time. It looks like, to watch the original Dune because it's saying the release date of the new one is December 18th this year. That's true. Yeah, it's still yeah. I don't know, Ginger. I can look it up. No, it's set to be released in June of 2021 from what it's saying on the internet. They were supposed to start filming at the end of last year or the beginning of this year. Yes, it's not going to be till like the middle of next year. Yeah, it's saying like June of next year. Dark Gift, what's going on, Anthony? Well, Anthony and a DJ, both of you being here made me think of Brian the Gravedigger was kind of a surprise to Mandy on the last Name That Tune, wasn't he? I don't think she knew till the very last minute that he had also was a DJ. He's got like cross microphones tattooed on his arm. You know, at the end they were exactly tied. Mandy just pulled it out, you know, in the final. I hope you're doing good today, Anthony. Hope you're doing good, bro. We've just been talking about movies, 80s movies, more modern movies. Talking about what things are supposed to be coming out, like, you know, maybe this year, next year, that interest us, or that we may actually want to see. Yeah, she did. She kind of just barely squeaked by there at the end. That's what I'm doing. Well, obviously that's what I'm doing. I'm just sitting here talking to y'all, drinking Bloody Marys. It's my Sunday, so got to go back to work in the morning, which is always fun. Get up at 5 a.m. and go fight Atlanta traffic. Oh, that's sweet. Took the day off. So, Anthony, do you have your songs lined up for I about said Name That Tune for karaoke tomorrow? That is tomorrow, right? Yeah, tomorrow, because tomorrow's the 14th. I wouldn't really call myself a workaholic at all. But the way my job is right now, it's kind of a set schedule. A lot with the work that I do, a lot of times it's not a set schedule, and you work a lot, and you're on call and at all hours of the day and night and stuff like that. But I'm on like a more normal job right now, so. Oh no, you need you some. Need you some. Well, you're a you're not a whiskey guy really, but you're a Scotch guy. But need some warm Scotch or with which I guess that's technically whiskey, but with like lemon and honey in it. Drink you a lot of tea, hot tea. Hopefully your cough will go away. Not just because I want you to feel better, but hopefully you'll be in good shape for the show tomorrow. Yeah, like a hot toddy would. This show's parenting back in the day when I was a kid and I had like a head cold or a chest cold or a cough. That's what my parents would give me was like hot whiskey with, you know, lemon and honey. and just tell me what's going on, bro. Yeah, that's why I corrected myself. Well, I started thinking about it. I was like, yeah, that is actually whiskey. It's Scotch whiskey. So I had a brain fart there for a bit. Hope you're doing good today, Tommy. Good to see you as always. I hope the plans of the guinea pig army are coming along for world domination. Yeah, I'm doing good. I had a few too many cervezas last night on somebody's birthday stream, and I did feel a little rough when I woke up. The Bloody Marys are helping. So, Anthony, Tommy, is there any upcoming movies that are coming out that you're interested in seeing, or that interest you, that you would consider seeing, depending on how they really turn out? Yeah, a little. That's exactly right. A little hair of the dog. That's what I love. That's what I love about Bloody Mary is that little hair of the dog. It's just a little bit of vegetables, some sodium, and a little bit of the hair of the dog to kind of smooth things out. Yeah, that's what most of us were saying too. Yeah, the new Sonic looks like it's worth. Yeah, Cervezas. Yeah, the new Sonic does look like it may be worth watching. Like I was saying earlier, it surprised me when the first preview came out and Sonic looked like hot garbage. It surprised me that they actually went back and like retextured and redid Sonic's look because everybody was bitching about it. There's always ways to see them for no money. Because I don't really go to the theater much, if at all. I did. Like I was saying earlier, I did go see 1917 at the theater. Actually, I watched it for free first, and I enjoyed it so much and wanted the big screen, big sound experience. I actually then went and paid. Yeah, that was what really surprised me the most about Sonic and makes me actually want to watch. That's part of the reason I actually want to see it. Is I'm super surprised the studio wasn't like, well, this is what it is. Suck it. That's a good point, Will. I should start doing that more. If I enjoy a movie, then go pay to go see it. Oh yeah, I forgot all about Quiet Place too, and Coming to America too. I forgot all about those. I don't think anybody brought those up yet. Oh yeah, that counts. Yeah, apparently they're making a. Let's see when that comes out. Yeah, it comes out this year, and it has Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall, and the original cast members. Yeah, it's supposed to be the final Purge movie. I'm pretty sure it's gonna. I guess it's gonna like neatly tie up the story. Yeah, they're calling it. They're they're doing like a little play on it. They're calling it Coming to America instead of like Coming to America 2. Oh, that would be cool. Yes, it'll be interesting to see how they how they play off the comedy compared to the first movie. I thought the first Coming to America was funny. I enjoyed that movie. It'll be interesting to see though in today's, you know, Hollywood how they play off the comedy and everything in the newer movie. I actually enjoyed the Purge movies. I thought the Purge movies have been pretty good. So I guess this is supposed to be the last one. So I guess they'll neatly, from what I hear, they're going to kind of wrap up the whole story that's been kind of running through the movies and wrap it all up in the final one. Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah. Was it Maverick? Yeah, it looks good. Yeah, see, a lot of you are talking about movies that I hadn't heard. Like I hadn't heard there's another Halloween movie. Yeah, the new Top Gun from the previews. The new Top Gun looks really good. Of course, I was a fan of the original Top Gun. I don't think I've seen any of the recent Halloween movies that I can remember. Yeah, you're probably right, Will. It'll yeah that wasn't really a plot heavy movie to start with. Isn't part of the plot supposed to be like Goose's son is now like a pilot or trying to be a pilot? A spinoff of Saw with Chris Ross. I hadn't heard that one either. Oh yeah, I love the '80s Red Dawn. Like I say, it's one of my favorite '80s movies from growing up. I have quite a few that there for a while. You could get a lot of the '80s movies, in like the bargain bin at Walmart. So you could buy a bunch of those movies for 3 or 4 or $5. I stocked up on a lot of them when I and was getting them that way, like all the vacation movies, Red Dawn, Caddyshack, stuff like that. Called Spiral. I'll have to look that up. It'll be interesting to see how they spin off a Saw type movie with Chris Rock. Orville Nation, what's going on, Orville Nation? Good to see you. Yeah, I think that was what I read. Will was it's that's kind of the plot or the story of it is Goose's son. It's obviously that would have been well. Of course, you can't have that movie because Goose died in the first one. But if Goose hadn't died, it would have been really cool if they could have had like a reunion Top Gun of them together. But obviously, Goose would have to be reincarnated from the dead. Yeah, that's true. I guess I just always think of him being silly for the most part. Some people that are known more for comedic roles, it's hard to picture them in like a more serious role. we're just kind of chatting about movies, Orville Nation. We talked some about 80s movies. Now we're talking about stuff that's coming out. We're interested, or what's out now, or what's getting ready to come out. Previews of things we've seen that interest us or that we want to watch. I need to remember to DM you, Anthony, and ask you about someone. I'm not going to talk about obviously live on a live stream, but if I remember when I get done with the live stream, I was going to DM you and ask you about somebody that I think you'll be familiar with. I'm guessing you will be. Or if when I get done with this, if you're laying around the house, I know you said you got kind of a cough, but if you wanted to jump on a hangout for a minute, do a hangout for a minute, just talk briefly. You know, you're on the other side of the ocean, right? Will Gentry, aren't you in England or Ireland? See, I didn't know there was an invisible man. I mean, I know there's an invisible man, but I didn't know there was like a new invisible man. I guess so. I don't really go to the theater, so I miss a lot of the previews. The main way I see previews is if people in the community do videos of trailer reactions or whatever, is when I kind of get turned on to new movies coming out. Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, that you're from England. Not to get all political, because I'm not really a political person, but what do you think of Brexit? I know there's a very big debate on the whole Brexit thing. Just curious of your thoughts on it, being from over there. I think it's one of the things that us here in the United States don't really kind of get, just because it's, I've seen a lot of people say that, that it's, you hear the cons as being, it's England's going back to being an isolated place away from everybody. But I could see where if I lived over there, where I would be kind of fed up with all the EU BS and want to get away from that. Yeah, they are kind of trying to be like the New World Order of Europe. Like they want Europe under one. Oh, that'd be a tough decision, DJ. I'd almost have to go see both of them. Like go see one in the morning and one in the afternoon or evening. Deadly Prey. I'll have to look that one up. The name sounds familiar. I'm sure at some point I've probably seen it. I'll have to look it up and see if an image of it, racks my brain. Yeah, that's a hard one to decide, DJ. Oh man. Oh, okay. I'll have to check that out and add it to my list. Yeah, there's a handful of 80s movies you can actually find on YouTube. Yeah, I could see. I would if I was in your position, I would agree with that statement. Another 80s movie that I don't know that it was that popular, a lot of people remember it, is The Heavenly Kid. You can find the full movie of that on YouTube. Oh, I'll tell you one I watched recently that I hadn't seen in a long time was Over the Top. Remember the Sylvester Stallone arm wrestling movie where he has that old truck and he's got the thing in there where he's like, as he's driving the truck, he's like lifting weights with his arm wrestling arm. Yeah, it's. I mean, looking back on it now, of course, it's a cheesy movie, but I enjoyed it. Like I said, I rewatched it. It's actually on YouTube. YouTube has like a free movies section with ads. But the funny thing is, if you use an ad blocker, there's no ads. You just get to watch the movie. All right, DJ, have a good show, man. Have a good radio show, and I'll talk to you soon. I appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, I could see the comparison. Definitely. Yeah, Time Bandits was a good one. I hadn't seen it in a long time. It's funny when I start talking about all these 80s movies because I start making a list again of all these movies I hadn't seen in a long time that there's so many great ones. It's like I kind of forget a lot of them until people start talking about them. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I love that movie. Oh, I love that movie. Every 80s movie, pretty much, you say, I'm like, oh, yeah, I love that movie. And I start making a list to go back and rewatch a lot of them. Oh, no worries, Will. I kind of opened that can of worms, so you were more than welcome to speak your opinion. And I agree with your thoughts on that. Like I said, if I was in your shoes, I would have the same exact outlook on things. Oh yeah, Real Steel. Excuse me. Grab the ice bucket. Top myself off here. I think you missed the talk, Anthony, about my unfortunate garnish decision. I didn't realize it was an unfortunate choice till Sith Lord pointed out to me last night when we were on a hangout. I'm an olive fan with Bloody Marys. I like to garnish my Bloody Marys with olives. I'm also a pickle fan, so I bought a jar of gherkins. I had to go get horseradish anyway because I was out of horseradish for my Bloody Mary mix, and I bought a jar of gherkins and decided I would add gherkins with my olives. And then Sith Lord pointed out to me last night that I have like dong and balls garnish for my Bloody Marys. So this is my toxic masculinity, dick and balls, Bloody Mary garnish for the day. But I guess I could have done them the other way. I think I did it on purpose just because it's funny after he pointed it out to me. Oh yeah, the Warriors. I hadn't seen that one in a long time either. Yeah, I'm not a big. I mean, I'm not going to say if you put celery in my Bloody Mary, I'm going to like throw it back at you and say get the fuck out. But I mean, and I like celery. I don't need a big old stalk of celery sticking out of my Bloody Mary. Yeah, and once I said I did it honestly, I did it on purpose because I never thought about it looking like this. And when when he pointed it out to me last night, I was like, yeah, that's kind of funny. I'm going to purposely do it where it looks like a dong and balls. I could have stacked them the other way, I guess, but I liked the comic relief of the ideal. I know you being a bartender, I'm sure this would bug the shit out of you, but you know, there's been that kind of trend of like bars or restaurants going to like the fully loaded Bloody Mary that has like everything but the kitchen sink hanging out of it. I'm not a fan of that. I had one in Denver a handful of years ago that. Oh yeah, I could see that. Yeah, kind of like a little bit of a cooling thing, kind of like when you eat buffalo wings. Yeah, I had a Bloody Mary in Denver a handful of years ago, and they were like, "Do you want it?" I'm trying to remember now how they put it. Do you want it deluxe or something like that? And I didn't know what that meant. I was like, "Oh, I guess, yeah, okay." Man, this thing came out, and it was a good Bloody Mary. Don't get me wrong. But this thing came out. It had olives. It had pickles. It had a pickled spicy green bean. It had a little slider hamburger on top of the skewer. It had a big old piece of like thick cut peppered bacon sticking out of it. I mean, you had to like weed through the jungle to even get to the Bloody Mary. Yeah, I'm a simple guy. I like olives and ding dong gherkins apparently. But 99% of the time, it's just olives. It just so happened I saw the gherkins when I went to get horseradish, and they kind of stuck out as something to grab. Yeah, I thought that's what I thought was maybe it was just a bigger size or maybe spicier, more alcohol or something like that. I didn't realize it meant it had a shit ton of stuff hanging off the side of the glass. They set it down. I just looked at it like, what the fuck is that? Needless to say, when I ordered a second one, he said, "Oh, you want another deluxe?" And I was like, "No. How about you just bring me a regular Bloody Mary with a couple olives on a fucking toothpick or something? That would be just fine, thank you." Yeah, the bacon wasn't a bad addition. If it had just been the addition of the bacon, I could have been down with that. It was all the other crap that kind of got in the way. The bacon was actually pretty good, and it was really good peppered, thick cut bacon. And it was cooked kind of well. I like my bacon pretty well done. But yeah, the bacon wasn't a bad addition. Are you a spicy Bloody Mary fan, Anthony? That's what I like. A lot of horseradish and like some hot sauce. I use Valentino Mexican extra hot Mexican hot sauce. All right, appreciate you coming by again. Fuel the hatred. Like I said, my poll on Twitter said to do these every week. So as long as everybody keeps coming and hanging out and we keep having a good time, I'll keep doing them. So hopefully I'll see you again next Thursday, and I'll see you. I'm sure obviously I'll see you around other places. But get you some rest. I appreciate you coming by as always, man. Have a good rest. Daytona Falls, what's going on? Good to see you. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way, Anthony. If I'm going to drink a Bloody Mary, I want it to be. I mean, it doesn't have to be blow the top of your head off spicy, but I want it to be spicy. And I'm a big fan of horseradish. I kind of like a lot of horseradish in my Bloody Mary. Glad you could stop by Daytona. That's awesome. Hope even though you're at work, I hope you're having a good day. Oh, awesome, Fuel. I'll see you next week for sure, and I'm sure I'll see you, like I said, around other places on YouTube. But you have a good rest. So what I'm sure being a bartender, you have a homemade Bloody Mary mix. So what would be in your homemade Bloody Mary mix, Anthony? Or do you have like a set Bloody Mary mix for the bar? Or like if you make some your own at your house or whatever, you make your own mix? Yeah, I'm a fan of it. My dad lives in Florida. I try to get to Florida as much as I can to see him. But he lives over in the Panhandle. He lives in Panama City Beach, which is cool for me because it's only like a 5.5 hour, 6 hour drive, and I can go to the beach for free. So that works out pretty cool. Go stay with him. I don't really mind the cold weather, honestly, because I can always put more clothes on. And here in Georgia, I know Florida's the same way. It gets hot and humid. And you're talking about my accent. Well, I guess you're talking about my accent because I'm the only one that you can actually hear speaking. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I live just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. So I guess it'd be a southern accent, y'all. I've never thought about it. I actually have some whole grain mustard. I may have to try that next week. I've never had that with whole grain mustard. That may not be bad. I may have to try that next week. Yeah, I could see that, Tommy. Yeah, if you have joint issues, I could see. Yeah, the cold weather normally isn't good. I'm kind of salt sensitive, so I use a low sodium V8 juice, Worcestershire sauce, however you want to say it. Um, like I said, the Valentina or Valentino, I forget how it's pronounced. Extra hot Mexican hot sauce to spice it up. Celery seed, and horseradish is kind of my go-to mix. I don't mind like store-bought Bloody Mary mixes. Then you at the same time, kind of spice it up a little bit. But most of those just have too much sodium in it. Trace XL, what's up, bro? Good to see you. Yeah, it's I don't have a Mandy Summers Southern accent for sure, or I don't think I do. But yeah, I actually originally grew up in Kentucky. I lived in Kentucky till I was like 16. So that's part of the reason I think my accent's a little different. Is there's also, Kentucky is technically part of the South, but it's kind of like different speech types and stuff in areas of every country. The accent in Kentucky is a little different than the accent in Georgia, but I've lived in Georgia long enough now. I've been here since I'm 16. I'm 40 now, so I'm kind of more Georgia, I guess, now than Kentucky. But I guess I've definitely picked up some traces also of the Georgia Southern accent. Good to see you, Trace. Man, I hope you're having a good day. Appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, I love honey Dijon. Yeah, honey Dijon is great on chicken sandwiches or chicken tenders. Yeah, I'm a big fan of honey Dijon with chicken tenders or chicken sandwich. We have been kind of talking about movies, Trace. Is there any releases getting ready to come out? Like maybe later this year or next year or even newer stuff that's been out here recently that you're excited about, or any previews you've seen of movies coming out you're excited to see? Yeah, I like a lot of Worcestershire sauce. However you say, I can't ever say that in my Bloody Mary mix. Yeah, I'm the same way, Will. That's what I was saying a minute ago. Is it's so hot and humid here in the summertime, so I'd almost rather it be winter because you can only take so much clothes off in the summertime without being arrested, and nobody wants to see me take that many clothes off anyway. Yeah, that's been kind of the view of most of the people that are in the chat. Is other than a handful of movies, other than that come out later this year or next year, Sonic is kind of the only soon movie that people really want to see. And we've talked about Ghostbusters, um, the Bill and Ted movie, Coming to America. That's the sequel. And was it Bill and Ted 3? Top Gun, the new Maverick Top Gun movie. Worcestershire. Okay. It's funny to hear people say that word because everybody seems like everybody pronounces it different. Yeah, I had forgot about that too, Anthony, until somebody brought it up, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about watching the preview for that." What was your thoughts, Trace, on how the studio actually listened to people on Sonic, and when the first preview came out and Sonic looked like hot garbage, they actually listened to the public and went back and changed, the style and the texturing of Sonic. Yeah, that's what, like Anthony pointed out. It's amazing nowadays for a studio to listen to the public like that. Normally, I would have thought they'd have just basically been like, "Oh fuck y'all, we don't really care if you like it or not. Go see it. Give us all your monies." I don't. Yeah, I don't think I've heard of that one either, Tommy. Yeah, yeah. I don't know whose ideal it was to come up with that original rendering of Sonic, but whoever came up with that ideal should probably not be in that position anymore. Oh, really? So I didn't know that. That is horrible. So what does everybody think of the of me doing the placeholder when the stream first starts to get it live before I'm actually live, to kind of let people know that it's going live and kind of get people in the chat? I think it would be hard to do it on a panel, a stream that had a panel, but it seems to work out pretty good on a solo stream to start the countdown like 10 minutes before the stream. So everybody kind of gets the notification that I'm live and all that other stuff. It seems like it helps aggregate the audience a little better than just going live all of a sudden. Because a lot of times, if you go live right away, it takes a minute for people to join and to come in. Yeah, that is kind of messed up, Trace. I can show it. Well, the countdown timer won't be on there because I already took it off. But imagine that this has a countdown timer on it in green, like the green I use on everything. But I can switch to it real quick. Yeah, that's the only difference is there's a countdown in the middle of it. There's a green countdown timer that starts counting down from like 10 minutes. You can. It's actually a program that you can get for free to add that timer to like a video like that on OBS, and you could start it today and have it count down for 5 days if you wanted your stream to go in 5 days or whatever. But I just do like a 10-minute countdown. It's actually a program called Snaz that works with OBS to add the countdown timer. But it does seem if you're going to do it, like I said, it'd be hard to do it with a panel because that's actually live. And if you had a panel going, everybody would have to mute their microphones and couldn't talk to each other for that 10 minutes. So it's really only viable really to me for a solo stream. But it does seem to help aggregate viewers into the chat because they get, sometimes it takes a while for people to get. Yeah, OBS isn't really too hard, really. If I'm just self-taught on all this stuff, but if you need any help with OBS or anything like that, I don't use the Streamlab version. I use just plain OBS, but they're pretty similar. Basically, Streamlab just took OBS and added kind of their own stuff on top of OBS. It's still basically OBS underneath, but the way the menus and the setup is a little bit different. But yeah, I started using OBS when I got my my green screen finally set up and lit. Got the lighting good and everything to use my green screen. But yeah, it's not too hard really. Once you kind of get the basics down, to use the green screen if you're going to use one, and to add the other little things to it, you can play all different kinds of stuff. You can do intros for your videos that way and switch back and forth between scenes like I just did. I'll have to look. I didn't hear that. I'll have to look that up and read about it. Yeah, that's very interesting that happened after they basically saved the movie. Well, it still remains to be seen how the movie is, but they at least saved the look of Sonic in the movie from being hot garbage. Yeah, the main reason I started doing it was it can take YouTube a while. How YouTube sometimes is horrible at like showing that you've gone live or whatever. So to me, that kind of gives a 10-minute buffer that hopefully YouTube has said I'm live. Because a lot of times if you go just live, then you kind of just sit there and talk to yourself for a while until people, start filing into the chat. I don't know why I'm even wearing my headphones anymore. Yeah, that's interesting. It'd be interesting to see that. Yeah, if it was specifically because of that, or if it was something that was going to happen anyway. Yeah, Will was making that same point, Trace, that we all need to go support Sonic just to support the fact that they actually listen to the audience that's going to go see the film and made a change before it came out. I may take my son to see Sonic, or my wife and I may take my son to see it. I'm sure he'd be interested in seeing that one, even though he's older. He's like 21, but I'm sure he'll probably be interested to see Sonic. Oh, okay. So they closed one location of like their company. There was one movie I need to look and see. I can't remember the name of it. I have a horrible memory, but isn't there a movie that's getting ready to come out or recently came out, like something Rabbit, that the character in the movie has like Adolf Hitler as an imaginary friend? Yeah, that's a good point, Trace. Is they didn't listen to anybody. They just put out what they wanted to put out. Jojo Rabbit. Yeah, that's it. That seems. I'd have to look and see what the whole premise is of the movie, but I read just a little bit about it, and to me that was kind of out there that that boy has like Adolf Hitler as an imaginary friend. Yeah, that's the same thing I was thinking, Trace, when I saw that, and I was like, they seriously let a movie come out where a kid has Adolf Hitler as an imaginary friend? I can't believe that that actually made it out of the studio. Yeah, it's kind of poetic justice that Birds of Prey is doing so bad because they basically shit on most of their audience, and then they wonder why nobody came to see the movie or is going to see the movie, and now they're crying about it. I'd like to think they learned a lesson on Birds of Prey, but they probably didn't. They'll just blame the people that are funding all these things, us that are the customer. They'll blame us, and they'll just keep on putting the crap out, I guess, because I'm sure they didn't learn any lessons from what happened. Oh, that's good anyway, Anthony. Yeah, maybe the hot tea and a little bit of whiskey will help soothe your cough. Knock on wood, I've been pretty healthy this year, or well, and last year. I'm normally a pretty healthy person as far as like getting colds and stuff like that. The flu, I got the flu real bad. It's been probably 4 or 5 years ago is the last time I actually got the flu. Man, it laid me out for like a week. But at that time, there was a big flu thing going around. Everybody was getting the flu because of that Tamiflu. You know, they give you if you go to the doctor for the flu. It was hard to find it because pretty much every drugstore in my town but one was out of it. I finally found some. And that's the only time in recent history I can even think of getting the flu. And I never take a flu shot. I was pretty sickly as a kid. I got like strep throat and stuff like that. I had pneumonia. I had stuff like that when I was a kid. So maybe, uh, maybe, uh, maybe my immune system built up and is hardier since I've gotten older. I don't know. Oh yeah, the coronavirus. What are all y'all's thoughts on the coronavirus? I've heard two camps. One is that the media is playing it out of proportion that it's not really bad as they're making it out to be. They just like to have a big headline. And the other is it is actually worse than what you think it is because China's notorious for doctoring numbers. That there's been a lot of reports out of China that the amount infected and the death toll is way higher than what they're actually reporting to the world, so to speak. Yeah, there's lots of there's like cruise ships where people have been like anchored out. Hey Rosetta, how are you doing? Good to see you. Twitter felon, did you get hand slapped by Twitter, Rosetta? Did Twitter give you a smack on the hand? Yeah, that's and I saw pictures from China where they're like piling up dirt, like actually blocking the roads where people can't get in and out of certain towns, like they're quarantining whole towns in China. Jeffrey, good to see you, Jeffrey. Oh, you got Twitter slapped again? Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, there's people that went on cruises and now they've been quarantined on cruise ships for like a week or more. Was it like four? They got to be quarantined. Was it like 14 days or something like that to make sure they don't have the virus? So that would be an experience for sure. You come back from like a 5 or 6 day cruise, and then all of a sudden you realize you have to be stuck on the ship for 14 more days, just sitting there. Rosetta probably spoke the truth. That's people don't normally like it when you speak the truth. Rosetta normally kind of speaks the truth. So I'm sure that's part of the reason that she got Twitter slapped. Yeah, there was. Yeah, there was. What? Yeah, the ship would have like a couple people would have it or something like that. So then they would have to quarantine the whole ship. I've actually never been on a cruise. I was going to go a couple years ago, and some stuff come up. I couldn't go. My wife and a friend of my wife's took my spot, and her and my wife and my kids went. But I've never actually been on a cruise. I've heard a cruise is one of those things that you either love it or you hate it. There's kind of like no in between. I've talked to people that actually love cruises and they go on 2 or 3 cruises a year, and then I've talked to people that you couldn't pay them to go back on a cruise ship after they went once. Oh, okay. So, yeah, see, I hadn't read that. Oh man, 24-day incubation period. It'll be interesting to see how far and how bad it spreads. I know they're having a super bad time of it in China. And there goes a garage door opener. It's just been that one person making the rounds, being a troll. That's the funny thing about Twitter trolls is they can go around calling and being any way they want to, and then if you call them out on it, they get you banned or get you put in Twitter jail. You can say anything you want to, Jeffrey. That's perfectly fine. They're definitely going to have to get it under control. That's for sure. Yeah, you're more than likely 100% right, Rosetta. It's in those situations. It's always the same handful of people that just have come in under new accounts just to cause trouble. Yeah, that's a good point, Trace. Yeah, who wouldn't be attracted to the ladies of the Menace? Oh, see, I hadn't read that, Will. Oh, you couldn't hook him up, Anthony? Luckily, I normally fly under the radar. I don't really have to deal with that stuff on Twitter. I just watch everybody else having to deal with it. Sith Lord, what's up, bro? Good to see you. Hope your appointment went well. At least I know you'd hook me up, Anthony. Yeah, that does normally work pretty good. Tommy is because that's really what they want is to stir shit up. So if you kind of ignore them, they eventually kind of get bored trying to stir shit up. That's the whole point of them trolling in the first place, is to get stuff stirred up. Anthony wants you to sketch him like one of your French boys, Rosetta. I've been pretty lucky on Twitter, I guess. I've been banned twice. Once by somebody I knew, and the other was by somebody that I guess just went through and banned like anybody that had anything to do with the Fandom Menace. It was somebody I never had even seen or spoke to, and I saw a thread on Twitter that people were talking about that person had banned them. So just out of curiosity, I pulled up that person's account, and I had been banned as well. No, I can't hand roll cigarettes. Never tried. it's your 17th suspension since September. Wow. I never got on Twitter till I started more into the YouTube stuff. Like I said, I don't have a personal Twitter. I have my HanStar Twitter that basically is just for YouTube. For interacting with other YouTubers and for promoting my own projects and videos and stuff like that. But yeah, and it convinced me to. They're like, oh, you get more into YouTube, you should get a Twitter. That's like where all the people are, most YouTubers and stuff. It's kind of how a lot of us network. Yeah, I joke. Not that this is a business. I'm not monetized, but I joke and I'm like, yeah, my Instagram and my Twitter is like my business accounts. They're not like my personal accounts. I don't have any personal social media anymore. The last I had was Facebook, and I got rid of Facebook like 4 or 5 years ago because of too much BS. Just like I have a personal and private side of YouTube. Yeah, yeah, it does help. Aggregate your content. Yeah, I definitely see now how I couldn't really participate in the community and aggregate an audience and content without Twitter. Okay, yeah, let me pull my DMs up, Seth, and see what you sent me. Oh yeah, yeah. Let me. Well, you did what you said you were going to do, Seth. Seth and I were talking last night, and he said when he got out of his appointment, he was going to go get a Bloody Mary. If I was still live, he was going to share a Bloody Mary with me. So there we go. There's Seth's Bloody Mary. Not a bad looking Bloody Mary. Was that salt on the rim? Yeah. Cheers to you, bro. Oh, you have a big show in the works. Excuse me. I've been pretty happy with the response I've been getting. This is the third one of these shows that I've done. It's apparently going to start be a regularly weekly thing, and it's been getting pretty good views. And a lot of and some of you here have been on my Name That Tune show, my biweekly Name That Tune show. That gets a really good audience. So that's mostly what I've been doing anymore is just live streams. I do this year. I have kind of made the resolution to put out more video content other than just live streams. Yeah, Google. I never really got into Google Plus. I had one just because if you had Google accounts, it's like they automatically gave you one. Yeah, if you get to 1,000 subs, and you have to have a certain number of watch hours. Once you get to 1,000 subs and a certain amount of watch hours, then you can apply to be monetized. You're not automatically monetized, but once you hit those two milestones of watch hours and subs, you can apply to YouTube to become monetized. But I'm like a quarter of the way there. Oh, is it 40,000 watch hours? Okay. Well, yeah. By the time Google Plus came out, Facebook had cornered the monopoly of the market. And it's kind of hard at that point to step in and try to make a competitor because everybody was on Facebook. I'm a quarter of a way to 1,000. I just broke 250 this week. Actually, I think it was. It's been recently. So I still have quite a ways to go. It would also help if I put out, like I said, more content. than what I do. Like I said, all I really do right now is live streams, and I'm on other people's shows and mod for people. And but really to really aggregate a lot of subscribers, you really kind of have to push the content out, like they call it the YouTube grind. Okay, yeah, that sounds good, Anthony. Have an enjoyable time. I hope your cough gets better. Keep nursing that hot tea. I've actually known quite a few people that got the watch hours before they had the subs. They were just trying to get their subs up, and then I've known the opposite. I've known people that have got the amount of subs, but they don't have the watch hours. I don't know how many watch hours I have, honestly. Probably not a ton. Yeah, I only have. Oh no! Wait a minute. Let me see. Yeah, I've only got like Well, maybe that's just recently. Trying to see where it tells you for like the entire time you've had your channel, or it may be that I just have a really low amount of. Yeah, it's apparently I don't have many watch. I only got like 30 watch hours. Let me. Okay, I see. That was in. I looked in the studio. Maybe I didn't look in the right place. I don't know if I'm looking at it right. I only have 30 watch hours, so I would have a long way to go. Even if I got the subs, I would have a long way to go to get the number of watch hours that I would need. Yeah, I used to smoke a long time ago. I actually quit smoking, and I used to use snuff, like oral tobacco that you put in your lip, and smoke cigars. And then I gave all that up a couple years ago, maybe a little bit more than that now, and started vaping to quit tobacco altogether. But yeah, I used to be a heavy smoker. I used to smoke like 2.5 packs a day. It took me 3 or 4 times to quit. Like I'd cut down to 2 packs. I'd quit for a while. I cut down to 2 packs, and I'd quit for a while, cut down to 1 pack. Eventually, after trying like, what's up, Biden? Yeah, I'm talking about oral today. Oh, Seth, I did it now just to be funny because you brought it up to me last night, but I still did my Bloody Mary garnish that looks like a dong and ball. Oh, damn, the top of the thing came off. I did my dong and balls Bloody Mary garnish of the gherkin and 2 olives. The top of my umbrella come off. It's a travesty. I used to dip Copenhagen some. I actually preferred like Kodiak or something like that. I liked yeah, I did it really just to be funny after you pointed that out to me. I had never thought about it. And I was like, well, I'll still do it on purpose. I hope you feel better, Rosetta. Good to see you, darling. I appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, go get you some rest. Yeah, you did come in you came in at the perfectly wrong moment. I used to prefer wintergreen, a wintergreen snuff, which Copenhagen makes a wintergreen now, but I use like Kodiak and Grizzly and anything that was wintergreen. Skull. I'd get some Skull Cherry or Skull Peach every now and then. The peach, if I could find it. I've chewed beetle nut. No, I thought you were gonna say beech nut. I'd say I've chewed tobacco before too, but I've never chewed beetle nut. I've chewed beech nut chewing tobacco. If I still did that, Biden, I probably would do it on camera. Listen, I vape on camera, so nothing more cool than a guy going. Now I'm waiting for Biden to make a joke about that. I've heard what you're talking about. Hold on just a minute. Let one of my cats out of the office. You can go see Mama. Go see Mama. He was in Narnia. Still on my screen. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Jesse, what's up, bro? Good to see you. I've seen on like TV shows and heard of people chewing beetle nut, and they get like the black teeth. Yeah, what's up, Jesse? Hope you're doing good today. Appreciate you coming by. Yeah, I'm on my last Bloody Mary, so it will probably go for a while longer while I drink it. Oh, okay. They chew beetle nut. Was it like in Africa or in India or somewhere like that? I know I've seen on like a program about other countries that they chew beetle nut. It's supposed to give you a buzz, right? Kind of like nicotine. Isn't that why they chew it? I've heard of cat before too. In Africa, they they chew a lot of cat, which is like a leaf. It's actually illegal, I think, to import it to the states. The cat leaves. You go like to markets in certain countries, and there's like stalls with just these big piles of the cat, yeah, and they chew it kind of for the same effect. Oh yeah, I've seen Zod dipping before, yeah. He touched too many people, Jesse. They don't like it when you start touching people randomly. I'll have to go to bed tonight. I got to work in the morning, Seth. I mean, I'll be up for a while, but I got to get up at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Today's my Sunday. Yeah, I'm sorry I fell asleep on y'all last night. It never came back. Yeah, you gotta be careful who your assistant is. Yeah, I gotta get up at 5 a.m. to go to work. Yeah, I work first shift. I have to actually be there at 6:30 in the morning. I work for a railroad, Jeffrey. I mean, I'll be up till like probably 10:30 tonight, probably, but I won't be up later than that. So yeah, I'll be around between now and like 10:30. Yeah, I like first shift because I get to see my wife and stuff more. Second shift's actually my favorite shift. Yeah, I've seen a lot of those like border patrol or shows where they're inspecting like packages and stuff that come into the country, and a lot of times they find cat that people are trying to sneak into the states. Yeah, I work a normal job right now. I used to be on what we call the main line, which is would kind of be like an over the road trucker. I used to be on call all the time, and it would take trains to other cities. But I'm on a yard job now where I just stay in Atlanta and work like it's like a normal job. I have a normal schedule and set off days. Yeah. I know it. Yeah, it gives you kind of like a high. Is why it's banned here, I guess. But it does kind of suck to have to get up at 5 a.m. because my job starts at 6:30 a.m., which is super early. I have it right here. I just hadn't put it on today. I actually got a couple of them here. I got a Key West hat too that was sitting on my desk. The angling company Key West, like a fishing tackle, like an outfitter for fishing stuff in Key West. Oh, I'm not a conductor. I'm an engineer. I do have an old school engineer hat somewhere. I'd have to find it. It's like the blue and white, kind of sits up. And it's like the blue and white stripes. Yeah, I drive trains. But I work for a freight railroad. I don't work for a passenger railroad. We just deal with freight. Yeah, I've been off the road for probably 2 years now, I guess. You can make more money doing that, but it sucks because you're on call and stuff all the time. You actually start out as a conductor. I started out as a conductor. Everybody does. And then once you work up through seniority, you get your your slot comes up to go to engineer school. So I went to engine school in 2015. So from 2006 to 2015, I was a conductor. And then in 2015, I went to engineer school and qualified as an engineer. So I've been an engineer since then. But even then, we didn't have the hats because, like I said, that's like a passenger railroad thing. We're not a passenger railroad, so we didn't have any cool engineer or conductor hats. I did used to wear overalls though when I was a conductor. I still actually wear them sometimes now, even though I'm not a conductor. I'm an engineer, but I don't guess it's really said you don't have to be one or the other to wear overalls. But yeah, you don't receive a hat. You just receive a an engineer license, which is, I mean, it's a good thing to have. But the only problem is, once you're an engineer, you can go work. You could go work for any railroad, and you're trained as an engineer. Take that license with you. It's like a federal thing, but it sucks because the only profession you can use that in is the railroad. So I mean, you have options other than where you work now, but there's limited options because it's a very specific job, a very specific skill set. It doesn't really translate to anything else other than the railroad. Yeah, I wouldn't really want to deal with passengers just because of stuff like that. Freight doesn't talk back. You know, there's really not much passenger for, rail service in the states. You got Amtrak, and then there's, obviously the more local rail systems, especially up north. But train travel isn't as popular here as is in a lot of other countries. I haven't hit any cows. I've hit a lot of deer, a lot of possums, hit raccoon. I haven't hit a cow. I know some people that have hit cows. I know people that have hit cars. Luckily I've never hit a car or a person. But normally when I was on the main line, like on the road, normally every trip I would almost hit at least one car. There's always close calls every time you go out. Yeah, if I started singing that at work, they would probably smack me upside the head. No, you don't see too many. You don't see too many train hoppers. And I mean, they're still around, but you don't see them like you used to, just because security. After 9/11, security and everything has gotten so tight. I mean, you still see them occasionally, but not very often. Yeah, the person I know that hit a cow, they said it exploded. They hit a cow running like 50 or 60 with an engine, and it was in the middle of a bridge. It couldn't go anywhere. It had wandered out on a bridge, and when the train came, it didn't have anywhere to go. It just basically stood there, and they ran into it and said it exploded, and the front of the engine looked like you had run it through a meat grinder. Just cow bits everywhere. Yeah, luckily I hadn't hit any vehicles or vehicles with people. I've hit a lot of animals. Best stream of the year. Yeah, I could see where people would be upset about that. Nobody ever wants anybody to come in and take their land. I guess my best record, Jesse, would be I left out of Macon, Georgia one morning, and when you leave out of Macon, Georgia, you're following along a river, and there's woods. I keep forgetting I'm cut off. There's woods to one side, and there's the river to the other side. So in the early morning, the deer cross between the woods and the river. They go down to the river to drink. And one morning, man, coming out of Macon, I hit probably 4 deer in this one little stretch because they were migrating between the woods and the river. So I was like a deer massacre one morning. I hit like 4 of them back to back. But they don't make much noise. You just hear a thump. We call possums mobile rail greasers because they'll just walk down the track, like on top of the track, and they just sit there and watch you run over them. Oh, armadillo. I've hit armadillo before too, which are kind of possum on the half shells, but people joke about them. Yeah, Amtrak here never really makes any money. Yeah, I haven't seen Sasquatch. And I'm out when I did that. I was was on the road. I was out all hours of the day and night. So you would think eventually, if Sasquatch was out there, I would have seen Sasquatch, but never have seen Sasquatch. Deer normally aren't too bad. Like the people that hit the cow, they called into dispatch and told them they hit the cow. So when they got to where they were going, they had, not them, but the people that work in the engine shop had to hose the engine off. Yeah, they had to pressure wash it because there was cow all over the front of it. That's probably all the animals. I've hit trees before, but they luckily they weren't really big trees. The funniest story I ever heard was a friend of mine hit an owl, and the owl was like flying across the tracks, and the train coming like hit it with the windshield. With it, the owl tumbled over the top of the cab. Well, he was a smoker, and when he stopped somewhere, he went outside to smoke a cigarette. He went out the back door, and if you go out the back door, there's like a walkway down the side of the engine. Well, he opens the back door, and he's like, "Damn, that owl's out here." So he goes out there to smoke a cigarette, and come to find out, the owl isn't dead. The owl stands up and like cracks its neck, and comes in the back door of the engine, and gets up on the engineer's console, and won't leave. So they have this big ass owl sitting there looking at him, which of course freaks them the fuck out because it has big talons. So they had to call the dispatcher and tell them there was an owl on there. They couldn't get it off. They had to get off the train and go stand outside so the owl wouldn't tear them up. And they had to get animal control to come get up on the engine and get the owl off the engine. It was pretty funny. And by the time they got the owl off the engine, it had shit on everything. So that engine had to be cleaned. It was like a biohazard because the owl had shit on everything, had tore the seat up. It had totally fucked the engine up on the inside. A lot of the times it's the crew. It's human error. Yeah, the owl said, "Fuck you and your train." It was funny because they were like, "Well, can't you get it out?" And they're like, "We ain't fucking with that owl." They wanted them to shoo it out with a broom. They're like, "We ain't getting nowhere near that fucking owl." Sorry, I had a bunch of notifications on my phone I was clearing up. No, it lived. Animal control came and got it, and they either took it to a I don't think it was really hurt. I think they let it loose, if I remember right. I don't think it was hurt. If it was hurt, they took it to like a rehabilitation center or something. But I don't remember them saying it was really hurt. It just was stunned, I guess, by being hit by the windshield of a train. No, we don't have anything like that. There's new systems now in place in the whole of the United States on railroads that stop trains. A computer system that stops trains before accidents like that can happen now, called PTC, positive train control. If you don't stop when you're supposed to, the computer stops the train to keep stuff like that from happening. Well, yeah, I would be stunned as well. Excuse me. A horseradish making me burp. Yeah, I've heard a lot of bad stories about people in cars and stuff. Luckily, I've never been involved in anything like that. People wouldn't really bother me as much as kids. Like if you hit a car that some dumbass had their kids in it and ended up hitting a car with a bunch of kids in it, that would bother me. But if it's a drunk or a crackhead or something, that wouldn't really bother me that bad. The worst ones are the people that use the train to commit suicide because, they don't realize that the crew on the train is also impacted by that. They just look at it as a way to go out. All right, Sith bro, I'll talk to you later. Yeah, that's true, Will. If you're in that state of mind, you're not really thinking about anybody else. I'd have to look that up, Jeffrey. I forget. I'd have to look that up. It was somewhere out west. I remember that. It's just north of Great Salt Lake in Utah. The closest city is Corrine, Utah. There's actually I guess there's like a historical commemorative park in that area now, where the last where the gold spike was for the first transcontinental railroad. I knew it was out west somewhere. Apparently, it was in Utah. Yeah, the train is always going to win, Jesse. When you got something that's that many tons moving at 50, 60 miles an hour, the train's going to win most of the time, unless it's something very large. But definitely a person is not going to win. I almost hit a limousine one time, but luckily the dispatcher told me about it right before I got there, and I put the brakes on and stopped. A limousine had high centered on a. It was like a big hump to get over the railroad tracks, and the limousine had like got stuck and had high centered in the middle of the tracks. And luckily, right before I got there, the dispatcher called and said, "What milepost are you at?" And I told them, they're like, "Oh, stop! There's a limo stuck on the tracks at such and such milepost." So I put the brakes on, and right as I eased around the corner, you could see the limo, and the police and the limo driver were out there fucking freaking out, and that was kind of funny. But if they had waited just a few minutes longer to tell me that, I would have went right through the middle of that fucking limousine. If they hadn't told me to stop where it was at. That's probably the closest. I mean, I've had a lot of close calls where people run around the gates, but I would have definitely plowed through that one because it was stuck there. They were waiting on a tow truck to come get it off the tracks. No train robberies or female ninjas. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that limo driver was not a limo driver anymore. That's like truck drivers. A lot of trucks, get run into, and I'm like, yeah, that dude doesn't work for that company anymore. Hey, Stig, what's up, bro? Hope you're having a good day as well. Good to see you. The trucks will do that a lot of times. They'll get caught on a crossing that's got like a big grate on it. They get kind of stuck in the middle. A buddy of mine plowed through a trailer on a tractor trailer. It was full of washing machines, and the trailer, obviously he run through it, and trailers aren't made of much of anything, and he went right through the middle of it, and damn washing machines went everywhere. Now, mostly it's people. It's mostly people stealing stuff out of the overseas containers, like trying to steal stuff worth money, like whatever, electronics, shoes. They'll break into the containers if you sit stop. There's certain places that you're not supposed to sit stop on a train like that because people will break into the containers. Yeah, they just randomly go around there, and all you got to have is a pair of bolt cutters because they put like a bolt seal, on the doors of those. But all you have to have is a pair of bolt cutters, and you can pop the bolt off and open the doors. And they'll just randomly go down through there, opening up trailers just to see if there's anything in there they want to steal. Could be. No, I've not really had much trouble with hobos. I mean, like I said, I've seen them around here and there a little bit, but I've never had them like get on the engine or anything. Yeah, yeah, it's like real life GTA. There was a show that was on I want to say it was on like the National Geographic Channel or something like that, called like Black Market or something like that. And one of the episodes was these guys outside of Chicago. That was what they did for a living, is they broke into the trailers on trains, and would steal anything out of the containers, that were worth money, and then they turn around and sell it. I don't know. I don't know what a bindle is. Not familiar with that. We had one get broke into one time, and it was full of inkjet printers. And they had took as many however many people it was, I don't know. They had taken as many inkjet printers as they could, and I guess them running away, they left like a trail of inkjet printers. But apparently, they got in a car afterwards and took off because they followed the trail of inkjet printers, and then the trail ended. But the container doors were still open. So once the train left, nobody had realized that they had broken into that container. So then all these printers kept falling out of the back of this container all over the place. Oh, okay. Okay, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, I've never actually seen anybody with a bindle. Most of them I have seen just have like backpacks. They almost look like backpackers. They got a backpack with all their shit on it. All right, Jeffrey, I appreciate you coming by as always, man. Have a good one. Yeah, they had to go. They had to go and pick up all the inkjet printers everywhere. Like I said, they were strewn all over the place. They had to go pick them all up, and then of course they're salvaged. Then once they fell out of the container like that, even if they're not messed up, the insurance pays for them. Yeah, the railroad I work for has its own police department, and they have detectives that, because technically the railroad, like so many feet on each side of the railroad is owned of the tracks is owned by the railroad. That's like their private property. So if anything happens on the line of road on their property, our own detectives and police force have to deal with it. So they had to go down through there and investigate, and they had to go down through there and pick all the damn printers up. So I'm sure they weren't too happy about having to hike miles down the tracks and pick up a bunch of printers. They actually never caught them. Oh yeah, if you just say the value of things, yeah, we transport stuff all the time worth a lot of money. I mean, if you think about it, like an automobile car full of like brand new Mercedes or BMWs, I mean, that's worth a lot of money. If you have 3 stacks full of BMW cars, that's worth a lot of money. I mean, even a lot of the raw materials in the quantity that they're in are worth a lot of money. I mean, every train that's got a bunch of containers is probably carrying millions, if not billions of dollars. Well, probably not billions, but it's every train is probably carrying millions of dollars worth of cargo. If you add it all up, I'm sure. The funny thing, I mean, normally once something like that's broke into or something gets messed up, like if there's a derailment, all that stuff's wrote off, no matter if it's messed up or not. There was a derailment in, I think it was in Alabama, and several automobile cars full of BMWs derailed. Once it derailed, the insurance had to pay for all those BMWs, and all of them were scrapped. In the long run, they really don't care. I mean, they're obviously going to investigate Biden, but they're not going to try to track. I mean, they try to figure out who did it, but at the same time, the insurance is just going to pay for the damaged goods and be done with it. I'm sure they don't super hard investigate inkjet printers. Yeah, it was like 3 or 4 cars, automobile cars full of BMWs. I've never personally done it, but we have transported military goods before that you actually have armed guards on the train with you. I don't know exactly what they're transporting or what it is, but that has happened in the past. Yeah, yeah. If that ever happens, Will, you better have a good alibi because you just told everybody about it. I have been transporting stuff before, and I don't know what it was, but when I went through downtown Atlanta, every bridge, all along the tracks, there was cops everywhere, and if we stopped anywhere, there was cops everywhere. So apparently, there was something on the train that was either very valuable or very dangerous. I don't know what the hell it was, but they were super concerned about making sure somebody didn't get into it, whatever it was. It could have been, yeah, maybe it was a UFO. We do. I mean, it's not under armed guard or anything, but we do transport a lot of military equipment like tanks and trucks and Humvees and stuff like that. There's a place in Alabama. I want to say it's Anniston. Alabama, that they have like a depot where they refurbish like tanks and stuff like that, military equipment that's been in service for a certain amount of time. So we haul a lot of that stuff that goes to Alabama. I think it's the Anniston Depot or something like that's what it's called. It all goes over there on rail car and they refurbish it and fix it up. And so we do haul a lot of like M1 Abrams tanks and Humvees and different miscellaneous military vehicles. They normally lock them up. I actually tried to look in one time. We had some right behind the engine one time, and we stopped somewhere. And I actually tried to get into one, and they had it all locked up, so you couldn't get into it. So I was just gonna look in it and take pictures and just get down in it, because I thought that would be cool. But it was all sealed up to where you couldn't get into it. But I thought that was pretty neat. It would have been even neater if I could have got into it. I think it was mainly they wanted to make sure nobody got into it. I don't think it was a case of they didn't want somebody to get out. Yeah, I didn't have a saw on me. I was just curious as to whether you could get in one or not, because it would be cool to get in one and look around. But yeah, they lock all the hatches and stuff up. Yeah, I don't know if it could have been X-Men, I guess. I'm sure if you could get into one, you could steal it because I don't think they need keys or anything. As long as they, as long as they may disconnect everything. I don't know. They may disconnect shit to where you can't start them and stuff when they're in transit like that. Because it wouldn't really be that hard to get into one, start it up, and drive it off the trailer. It's on like a low boy flatbed car. Could have, yeah. I never thought about that. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I've been going for about 2.5 hours. I've drank all my Bloody Marys, so I think I'm about to check out. But I appreciate everybody being here, everybody stopping by. Like I said, I plan on, as long as everybody shows up to hang out with me, I plan on doing these streams every week as long as I'm off on Thursdays, because I don't have anything else to do Thursday afternoons, which is technically my Sunday. So hopefully, we've been having some good. I mean, this is what my third week, so we've been having some pretty good conversations. So hopefully we can keep it up and keep it going. I put a poll on Twitter, and everybody that voted, well, the majority of that won was do it every week. So as long as it's not just me talking to myself, I plan on doing these every Thursday at 1 p.m. So I hope to see everybody again next week. And Name That Tune is in its off week, so this Sunday there won't be a Name That Tune. The next one will be on the 23rd. Yeah, the next Name That Tune will be Sunday night, the 23rd at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure to mark that on your calendar as well. We always have a good time on Name That Tune. But I'll of course put ads out when it gets closer to that. I'll put ads out on Twitter. But it was good to talk to everybody. I appreciate everybody coming by. Everybody that's here now, I appreciate you hanging out. Everybody that was here earlier. Everybody have a good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever it is you're at. And until then, I'll see everybody next week. I'll see you all around, I'm sure, on YouTube, other places. But everybody take care. Have a good day, and I'll talk to you later.